where and how. That is medieval period in India. So history is divided into three periods, which is known as ancient, medieval and modern period. So let's study in detail about these three periods. Medieval period. So this word medieval, it comes from the Latin word called medius and avium, which means middle age. So when a period is called medieval, it means that the period is in the middle of human history. So medieval period in India is divided into early medieval period and late medieval period. So early medieval period was from AD 700 to AD 1200 and later medieval period was from AD 1200 to AD 1700. During medieval period in North India, several, several independent kingdoms came up after the breakup of Harsha's empire, and these kingdoms were engaged in battles with one another. But the beginning of medieval period, South India part, it remained unaffected by the events of the north. Prosperous kingdoms such as Cholas and Rashtrakutas, they flourished in the southern part. The medieval period of Indian history is identified today with a series of Turkish, Afghan, Persian and Mongolian dynasties which ruled India. Next is ancient period. It is said to stretch from the time humans learned to write up to Harshavardhana's death in AD 700. Next is modern period. This started from AD 1700 and it lasts till date. The impact of geography on the history. So India has a long coastline with a land area of 5,472 kilometers. Himalayan mountains, they stretch for over 2,575 kilometers over the northern side of India. The northern plains, which comprise the Indus basin and the Ganga river basin, they were the seat of many great empires. This was also a region which was under a constant threat from the invaders from the other countries. Southern peninsula, it faced fewer threats of invasion. Vindhya and Satpura mountain ranges, they acted as a barrier which discouraged the southern movement of Turks and Mughals. Kingdoms in the south, established empires extended across the Indian Ocean, including Sri Lankan islands and Indonesia as well. The terms used to describe the subcontinent. During the Vedic period, India was called Sapta Sindhu or the land of seven rivers, and in Sanskrit language the Persian H gets replaced by S, and Sindhu or Hindu was the name for India from very ancient times. Hindu were the people who drank Indu, that is Soma, and were blessed by it, and the land where they lived was called Hindustan. So after the entry of Aryans into India, Vedic culture spread. Northern India was known as Aryavarta or the land of Aryans. So these were the Aryan periods shown in this image. India was also known as Bharatvarsha or the land of Bharat, from where the descendants of Bharata lived. In all the Arabic and Persian literature of the medieval period, the Indian subcontinent is referred as Hind, and the people living there are referred as Hindus. And the Greeks called the land as Indica. It is probably that Indica got, so it is probably believed that. What are the sources of information for medieval history? There are several sources such as inscriptions which give us the epigraphic evidence, coins which give us the numismatic evidence, buildings and sculptures which give us the archaeological evidence, paintings which give us the artistic evidence, and historical writings give the literary evidence. Let's study in detail about these 5 things. Inscriptions, these means writings engraved on hard surfaces such as metal, rock and stone. The study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. These inscriptions were made on the faces of cliffs, stone pillars, inside the caves or on rocks. They were either short or two-line dedications of a temple or a statue, or lengthy as a poem, and they used to praise the achievement of kings. And this is known as Prashasti. The long poems in the praise of the kings are known as Prashasti. In this image we see inscriptions. Next is coins. These are pieces of metals which are used as money. Study of coins is called numismatics. Information from the coins tells us about the kingdom, confirms dates during which the kings ruled, tells about the special interests and achievements of the kings. In this image, coins are seen. Next is monuments and buildings. They provide us information about the period during which they were built. And what are the monuments and buildings? They are temples, palaces and mosques. They tell us not only of the religious practices but also about the political, economic and social conditions of that time. For example, the famous monuments are Jama Masjids, forts, etc. In this image we see a monument. Next is paintings. These are the important source of information for the medieval period of Indian history. It tells us the nature of the society, the way of dressing, the customs which were followed, the important events, life of the common people, along some other features. So these images shows us some paintings. Next is literary evidence. It consists of historical writings, biographies, plays, novels and epic. Literary sources are of two types, indigenous source and foreign source. In this image we see a medieval manuscript which is written on a palm leaf. Indigenous sources. In these, the manuscripts were written on palm leaf, cloth, bamboo leaf, etc. And these indigenous sources, they deal with variety of subjects such as religion, philosophy, systems of science, arts and literature. There were some people called bards or poets and also chroniclers. They were appointed by the king. Their job was to record all the happenings of the state. Foreign sources. Medieval period in India saw many foreigners entering the land of India as travelers, students and pilgrims. Al-Biruni, a Persian traveler, came to India along with Muhammad of Ghazni in the 11th century AD. He mastered Sanskrit language. He wrote a scientific treatise called Tahqiq-e-Hind. Ibn Battuta, the 14th century Moroccan traveler, he wrote about the rule of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Marco Polo was an Italian ambassador in the court of Chinese Emperor Kublai Khan. He passed through the South India in the AD 1292.